I didn't mean to go into any of this in order to give folks the hard sell, but I think that we have to wrap up this conversation on some level by talking about how people listening can get off the sidelines, maybe if that's where you're at in your life, and join this fight. So where can people listening to this get involved with either secular sexuality or with the ACA? I mean, where should we point people?
The cool thing is there's just so many different avenues to connect with the ACA, including just starting out in chat, right? And getting to
Hmm.
know a few people and getting comfortable and stuff like that. But where I started really getting involved in making connections was on the Facebook pages for all the different shows, and then you kind of pick your favorite or you pick your passion, and you kind of go from there. But then the other thing that helped me to really start getting involved, like to actually connect with the ACA, was just because I'm old fashioned this way, was just their Facebook page, the atheist-community.org. Because I'm one of those, if I need to know something, go straight to Google and start asking a million questions, and that's kind of where I got connected. Um, so yeah, I mean, the easiest way to start is just to start having the conversations. You don't have to get in there and like know everything and be like the volunteer of the year and get involved in absolutely every piece of the pie. Like it can just start with interacting in a social group, right? Like either on Facebook or in our chat or whatever. And then it can go to, well, here's what I can do to volunteer an hour a week or 2 hours a
Hmm.
week or whatever. But there's tons and tons of different ways to connect, but those are the 2 that really resonated with me, and that's how I got connected in with the ACA.
Yeah, no, I like the way you framed it because I do want to encourage people to go to not just feel like they need to rush to volunteer, but to maybe go from like audience member to community member, and then
Mhm.
maybe to becoming like putting a ring on it and becoming a member of the organization. You can go to atheist-community.org and become a dues-paying voting member of the organization in order to have a say in how this
Mhm.
specific organization is run. And I highly encourage people to do that. And then, from there, perhaps you do want to jump into volunteering. And one place to do that would just be to email us, tv @atheist-community.org. You can also find that email address and other information on the main website. But Kara, is there anything else that you might add about that process?
Yeah, I think you guys covered most of the good ways to do it. I'm also old fashioned, so I mean if it's Facebook or, just Googling the website, that's usually how I'm gonna get there. I know there's other ways to socially engage with us too, but those are definitely the ways I would pick. But don't forget also to talk to other people about it. I think we talk about this all the time that people think, I'm the only person I know that's watching this show or that thinks this way or that doesn't believe or that whatever it is. But if you start talking to people about it and sharing with them, hey, I found this cool show on YouTube, I thought this was interesting, what do you think? You're not only spreading that out to other people who may benefit from it, but also you may realize that there are more people in your life that have similar views and interests that they
Yeah.
might not have mentioned it to you because they didn't know how you were going to respond. With everything being so polarized, as it is, it can be scary to have those conversations. So I would say if you feel safe, in the relationship, obviously don't put yourself in danger, but talk to people about it. It doesn't have to just be online. You can talk to people in real life too and share links and, and things and
Talk
ideas out
about
loud.
sex. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Uh,
Yeah.
well, Laura, before Kara takes us out and wraps everything up for the night, are there any other tips that you might recommend for folks who maybe SecX or the ACA is not where they want to be or what they're going to volunteer for? Can you say anything about how folks who just want to contribute to a more sex positive world can actively engage in that?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Conversation and not being afraid to have the conversation is huge. And that sounds somewhat like tongue in cheek, like, well, yeah, duh. But um having opportunities to actually be a little bit more open, even to the point of a little bit of discomfort, like maybe not disrespect, but
Sure.
certainly it's okay to get a little bit uncomfortable in your conversations and try to open up a little bit and test the waters. But the other things are to find your specific passions, and we're talking specifically about sex positivity. So what is it? Like what is your specific passion in regards to your gender, your sexuality, your relationships, your roles in life? and start seeking out ways of having conversations with those communities. Because even if you don't want to actively volunteer, or even if you can't, like I'm going to assume that like a lot of people just can't, right?
Sure.
There's still ways to interact, to get your voice out there, to be a positive voice. And one way that I would only recommend if you're comfortable, and only recommend, like Kara said, if you're safe, is to not be afraid to push back a little bit in situations where you feel like you can. So if you have that Christian grandmother that is like, well, marriage is only between a man and a woman, and you feel like you can handle this without any sort of horrible negative fallout, don't be afraid to push back and say, well, actually, that's not what I believe. I believe differently. And to be able to have that peaceful and respectful conversation about why and what the implications are, and kind of breaking it down. Because I've noticed that when you give people a human face to the things that they think are evil, bad, demonic, and when you start to show them how it's actually normal and regular and human, and they start to see another side to it, even if you don't change their mind, you're at least presenting them with information that counters their narrative. So it's one more drop in the puddle that maybe a year or 2 or 3 from now they hear enough of this positive reinforcement that it starts to bring them around. And if anything, it's good practice to just learn how to have the conversations in a respectful way that disagrees with that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that, Laura. And that kind of reminds me too, for a lot of people, myself included, we may have had some pretty traumatic conversations with people that we care about along those
Yeah.
lines. And if that describes anybody here, I'm also going to recommend Recovering from Religion, which you can find
Yes.
us at recoveringfromreligion.org. We also have a community on there where you can kind of get involved with other people who maybe, working through some of those issues. And it's a very sex positive place as well. But also we have a lot of, like, our Monday night shows. A lot of times we talk about issues like, how do I have these conversations with people, that disagree with me? Or what do I do with these relationships where I need help setting a boundary, or I need a better way to communicate? And so if you're looking for tips and tricks, and, just another community of like-minded people as well, if you may have had some bad religious experiences in the past, and you're working through that, don't forget about Recovering from Religion too. So you can do both. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to, be just pick one thing. Go out and get involved with what's working for you. I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.